This episode contains sensitive topics. Discretion is advised. Welcome in, everybody. Take a seat. Make sure you have a perfect viewing angle because you'll get to watch everything today. That will make sense in a minute when I tell the topic. But I'm Puce, your main host for the night, as well as Minka.
Hello.
And Suna.
Hi.
And tonight we have an extra special guest. Our first time returning guest, MisterretsiM.
Hey everybody, I'm MisterretsiM. If you didn't catch the first episode that I was on, I am a smut author.
And that will come in handy today because today we will be talking about NTR and cuckolding.
And cheating.
And cheating.
That cheating is a part of
NTR.
NTR. Yeah, it's a part of NTR.
No, these things have levels. You start out at cheating, you evolve into cuckolding, and then you ultimate DNA evolution evolve into NTR.
I don't feel like that's the right order at all.
I feel like it is because cheating can literally just.
Okay, to be fair, digivolving, you could turn from a fish into a dragon.
No, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh. You have to put the cards out and then they level each other up.
No, that mechanic is long dead.
You gotta sacrifice the cheating card to evolve into the NTR card.
Yeah, NTR is the Blue Eyes White Dragon of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Blue Eyes is shit though. No one knows anything about modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Never mind, it's just me.
I was gonna say
Access
you're the
Code
nerd
Talker.
who probably
Access
has
Code
modern
Talker.
Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh's too fast and
Access
stupid.
Code Talker is
Also old and bad.
Is a good one.
I don't even know what's doing relevant no more. Fucking trap tricks. Sure, let's go with that.
MisterretsiM, what was your comment?
A nice going with the lolly archetype there.
I'm more upset you know that because I only
snap.
know that because I got fucking baited and I'm like, where are the big
snap.
titty ones? And my friend was like, nah, fam, I'm just saying it. And I'm like, you lied to me.
I was playing Master Duel literally right before.
I know. What's the new hotness? Because Access Code Talker is kind of old.
People still play Access Code Talker. The new hotness is a deck called Purely, which is like little kittens. And another deck called Kashtira, which is they do a lot of banishing.
Is Telements still relevant or no?
Less relevant because they keep getting hit by the ban list, as do the Ishizu retrains.
Good. These two have
What in the
no
world
idea what the
card game are you guys
fuck. These two
talking
have no idea what the fuck we're
Yu-Gi-Oh.
talking about.
We're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh.
All I have, you guys are like lollies and baby kittens and banning, and I'm like,
No,
what?
There's like two big titty
Well,
trap tricks cards. I think my binder's behind me.
I heard somebody just recently won a Yu-Gi-Oh championship using like
Exodia, Nate.
Exodia.
It
yeah,
makes
and
me
like
feel
everybody
old
went
and- yeah.
wild.
Listen.
Oh, it's crazy because
wait,
nobody
but what game
plays
are you guys talking about? I don't know.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh. The
Oh, it
card game.
was all
Stop
Yu-Gi-Oh.
talking about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Listen.
Nobody plays Exodia seriously at a competitive level because it's pretty inconsistent. But this dude just topped a YCS with a fucking Exodia deck.
All right, I got two more things to say about Yu-Gi-Oh! Then we get going actually move on proper. So so let's say I have a Nibiru in my hand or a Joyous Ass Spring. Can I just go, no, stop, you don't get to do that?
To
Exodia.
what?
Is it an automatic win
No.
condition or do you have to summon them one at a time?
You don't have to summon them. You have to have all 5 pieces in your hand at once.
Okay. I thought they had to be consecutively summoned or special summoned at once.
No.
Damn, so you
Okay.
really can't just Ash Blossom Exodia and be like, no, fuck you.
You can Ash Blossom the cards that help people get Exodia, like Royal Magic Library's Effect, or there's a weird thing with Return to Normal and another Exodia extra card that will put them onto the field and then into your hand, but outside of that, no.
Okay.
Man,
Okay.
and I thought telling the audience our topic for the day would make nobody listen.
Okay. I've got how we bring this back, okay? Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes uses the term NTR, and it stands for Nightmare Troubadour. So back to NTR.
Yeah, that works.
Second question,
NTR stands for Nedorare. right?
Netorare. Proud of you.
Natarari. I definitely mispronounced it on that.
Well,
It
Netorare.
doesn't matter. We know what you're
I'm
talking
gonna
about.
butcher it with my American English. So
God, let me stop. I was about to say
It's
so.
Netorare.
Natorare.
Netorare.
Natorare.
Good enough.
Are you two having a
I'm sure. I'm sure I'm still not quite right because also my Japanese is not super great. But
So, for those who have no idea what the heck we were trying to say, NTR is essentially cheating with extra steps.
You're not wrong, but you're not like you gotta sell it. You're not selling it.
All right, you sell it because I don't
Okay.
understand what it is.
I'm sorry,
No.
but I have to
difference is-
use you as an example.
oh no.
Well, he's the only one that's married, so
Oh no, MisterretsiM has a girlfriend. That counts.
I don't know his girlfriend. I know your wife, so it's fine.
You don't know my wife either.
I know
you
your
just know
wife's-
I have one.
I know your wife's name.
Keep his wife's name out of your mouth.
They're not even married.
Oh my
we're not gonna do that. They're not even fucking married. We're gonna stop. We're gonna stop. No. Okay. NTR is essentially I come down to Puce's house while he's doing his 1-2 at his job. I fuck his wife. She then contemplates the idea of leaving him solely on the fact we had good enough sex. And then
So this is nothing like the ugly bastard stuff.
yes, they can just add that on top of it. And then if you want to sprinkle like a layer on top of that, he's normally in the the closet, watching, crying because he's getting left by his wife, but also jerking off because mental instability. I don't know. So
Okay.
like, there's extra steps, but you gotta like sprinkle on. There's gotta be
we
some
could
pain.
also add on the extra step on top of that the fact that I'm white and you're black, so it could also play the race card.
That's just for this specific example. Normally it doesn't matter because they're all Japanese, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. I'm gonna step in here because I've looked up a couple different definitions of NTR. So obviously there is some variation in what people consider NTR, but it comes from a genre of eroge, which is a hentai category where the protagonists or lovers are seduced away from the main character willingly or unwillingly. And generally, according to this definition of NTR, it's more of a cuckold, and it's not the same thing as the R word because the other parties in the experience are willing participants. And like, obviously that's a little iffy because a lot of times it's like somebody comes in, like a random girl comes into a relationship between a guy and a girl, and it's like, I can be a better boyfriend than him, and steals the girl away, and then like has sex with her and does all this stuff in front of him, and then he kind of realizes that shit, like being
Forced to watch,
being humiliated and like demasculated and stuff actually turns him on, and so it kind of becomes like a thing.
I won't lie. I've never really been clear, like fully on the difference between NTR and cuckolding. I like kind of knew it was like the NTR was more of like a person sliding themselves into a relationship to steal one person. But honestly, I've always used them
Interchangeably.
pretty
Most
interchangeably
people do.
in tagging stories and stuff because people generally don't care. Like I'll occasionally get a comment and it's like, technically this isn't NTR. And it's like, yeah, buddy, you're the only person who has an issue with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like for the most part, a lot of people are like, yeah, they're interchangeable, and then
So-
you've got that like 1% of the population who's like, well, technically,
I'm not gonna actually you because that's too much effort. But for me, cuckolding is everyone here is in agreement. This thing is gonna happen. NTR, there is no agreement. It just happens, and you're like, well, fuck.
yeah, it seems like the levels of consensual change. That's the biggest part.
And that does seem to change depending on who you ask and like where
Yeah.
you find it, because it seems that the literal like translation of netorare is basically cuckold. So like some people are like, no, that's what it is. It's cuckold, so it's like a consensual thing. But then yeah, for other people, NTR is where it's not consensual and someone comes in and steals one of the partners.
I feel like the people that take it literally are the people who are also like, nah, you can just translate the anime word for word. And I'm like, you stupid. I'm not gonna say what I want to say because we would get demonetized / removed.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah, don't do that. Some other things that NTR can stand for, by the way, are nothing to report, nuclear thermal rocket, no trees replanted, and need to rush.
No trees replanted. What the heck?
Super common everywhere. You know,
That's the way I use it.
Oh my god.
sure. Yep.
yeah. That's
This is a
after
story-
reading one of your stories, I absolutely like understand that it was all about nature and like
Yeah.
the effects of this story you created and how they are deforesting and like aren't gonna replant any trees. It's an NTR story.
Minka,
got it.
You just
Exactly.
described the plot of every other Studio Ghibli movie. Congratulations.
I know. His are all very social commentaries.
So basically, this episode is them going to be telling me why they enjoy it, and me going, okay, but why?
Okay.
And for anybody who might be confused as to why I'm here, though mostly what I write is Hyper and Fuda, I also do and have written a good amount of Cuck/NTR stories.
No one was willing to actually come on and talk about it because that type of humiliation doesn't do it for them.
Hopefully, after this episode, somebody will be like, "Hey, here's the actual facts of being in a cuckold relationship."
And be like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I will. I'll say straight up that like what I write is obviously not how the more consensual, real life practiced version of it. It is very much the fantasy. Somebody's getting treated cruelly and all that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about Minka and Suna, but personally, I would like a bull and a cuck on here, whether in separate episodes or in one episode.
Okay, I had to process what the fuck you just said.
Do you?
I feel like that was rather straightforward.
Well, I guess I don't know that we've
understand.
explained bull before. On
Yeah.
here, have
Oh.
we?
I'm just
Yeah.
like, why does
Okay,
he want to have
cuck.
a whole ass animal? How would we even like?
No.
Oh.
So
That's why I was
So
like, I had
we've
to
got-
process. I'm tired. Leave me alone.
we've got cucks, which are usually the person sitting in the corner in their cuck chair. If you get
In
that
the
reference,
cuck chair.
you get that reference. But they're usually watching and pleasuring themselves watching their partner get fucked by the bull, aka the third person coming in to show the person in bed a good time. And apparently there is the male version of the words, which is cuck and bull. And then there is the femme version, which is cake and I think bull. No,
Interesting thing is
queen and
cuck queen and cuck
cake.
cuck cape.
Cuck and cake. Okay, that's the
Cuck
combo.
cape. Yep. So
Uncle
like
Paul.
I actually just learned that recently, and it's like one of my friends was like, guess what the name for like a woman who does the cucking is called? And I was like, what? And he's like, it's cuck queen. And I was like, that is so adorable and I love it. And I now want to do that just so I can be a cuck queen. Cupcake, sorry. I probably messed up some words there, but really quick question. Have any of you watched Mike Flanagan's newest episode on Netflix, The Fall of the House of Usher?
I don't even know who Mike Flanagan is.
What Pew said.
Okay.
He's a director. He did that a few Netflix series
Haunting
so
of Hill
far.
House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, The Midnight Club. Like, I've loved all of his stuff. His like horror and storytelling is great. And this one is all about, if you don't know, The Hall of the House of Usher is Edgar Allan Poe thing. And so it's like all these other Edgar Allan Poe stories put into like a modern day scenario and stuff. But there's one of the characters in there that is a cuck queen, because it's all about the super rich family. And so she's a cuck queen, but like it's an interesting dynamic there too, because she is very much the dominant one in her life and her relationship. So there's still kind of a power exchange happening in this situation where like she's not really necessarily like the one who's kind of being cucked. I guess she's kind of controlling the whole thing. So it's an interesting take on it. And like I know it's stuff that happens out there, but yeah, it was just kind of one of those like, I didn't expect to see this in, just regular shows.
Interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't call a Netflix special a regular show, but I'd call a regular show a regular show.
Yeah, but nowadays everybody's got Netflix. Nobody's got cable.
You know what? Regular show is a normal show by today's standards. When it came out, no, absolutely not.
I was gonna say
it was ahead of its time.
No, I don't like it.
It's so much better than most TV shows we have now for cartoons.
Oh, I have a new hot take on manga.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Hold on, wait. Okay, proceed.
All right, so do we all know Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I'm showing my girlfriend it for the first time.
All right, so I remember watching it as a kid and loving it.
Mm-hmm.
I have recently reread it, and I think it sucks.
Okay, so
wait. Why?
Because it's just like Chainsaw Man in the fact that nothing happens.
What the fuck are you talking about? He literally...
There's no, there feels like there's no growth whatsoever.
Okay.
What? What?
Okay, not legal medical advice, Minka here, and doing the non-medical therapy, non-legal, whatever, bullshit. So
illegal therapy with Minka.
Let's not call it that.
Oh, no, we're absolutely calling it illegal therapy.
So,
all right, the
big
plays,
reason.
So you're good to go.
Okay, a big reason that you probably had that experience is because of nostalgia. Nostalgia is bullshit, and like it changes our memories of the things that we loved to a point where they become like perfect. They don't have flaws. And then when you actually go back and like, play an old game that you loved as a kid or watch something or read something, you're like, well, shit, this isn't as great as I thought it was. And like, it's interesting because at the time you read it, it was something that was awesome to you, but like you're a completely different person now. And you also are putting it up against this picture perfect version of it that your mind has created. And so like chances of still enjoying something that you have all this nostalgia about are pretty low, which is also why a lot of times when people are like, oh, we're going to bring back this certain series or, do a remake or whatever, like why so many people don't like it. And the reality is they are generally better than the original, not always, but they generally are. But people have just put this nostalgia memory so high that like nothing can compare to it. And so if they actually went back and watched, they'd be like, oh shit, like, yeah, this wasn't great.
Are you done? That kind of talk now?
Illegal therapy with Minka.
Can I talk? Can I say my
segment is over? You can talk now.
Okay, so you're wrong, mostly because you say it's his name, right? Not you say. Yu Yu Hakusho boy. Yusuke, thank you. Goes from being alive to dead, back to alive, learns a new technique, learns how to master that technique. Kuwabara does the same thing with his sword. Hiei does some cool demon shit and gets a fucking sword. And Kurama goes from being, yo, I'm just a regular dude, oh, hey, by the way, I'm an ancient kami who's just gonna kill all of you. Also, it's a tournament arc after tournament arc after tournament arc, so you go, okay, they're getting stronger.
Yeah, but there's no training arc.
I don't want a training arc. I don't want... That's why Jujutsu Kaisen is so good, because Itadori's training arc is... Alright, you're done.
Yeah, but there is a training arc.
It's a single episode until the culling games.
At least that's something.
And then it's like 4 chapters of Yuji going, oh, I can use other curse techniques. It's like, yeah, fucking idiot.
Yeah, at least that's... Okay, there's more development. All Yusuke does in the whole series is shoot his spirit gun. Yep. He learns nothing else.
What do you mean? He learns that you can't just hit women.
He goes, bang, oh, look, I can shoot big blast, shotgun mode, boom.
All right, what about the other 3 characters? Bang. The Prince Demon Boy.
I am...
Botan.
Yeah, but the main... Wow, the side characters evolve, not the main character.
It's not always about the main character.
I'm reading it for
Sometimes
the main character.
Why would you do that? Sometimes the main
Because
characters
they're
in the
literally
show
the main character.
Okay, and just because they're protagonists does not mean they're the main character. Those are different.
He's literally
Yusuke is definitely both the protagonist and main character of Yu Yu
Yes,
Hakusho.
but in storytelling as a whole, just because someone is the protagonist does not mean they are the main character.
Okay, I'm specifically talking about Yu Yu Hakusho.
Well, then you're just mad at Yusuke. You're not mad at Kuwabara, Hiei, or Kurama.
How does the power scaling compare to the power scaling in like JoJo or One Piece?
It's shit because
JoJo's
JoJo's power scaling
hey,
is
look,
crazy.
I've got a gun. It goes, hey, look, I've got a spirit gun, and it just gets better and better.
This is
and
too
it's
easy.
like, but you're just shooting a little blue ball, and he's like, yes, but it got better.
All right, then you can't
The
like
power
Dragon Ball Z
scaling gets a
neither.
little
Then
bit-
I don't.
It gets a little.
Once it
in
gets
Yu Yu
past
Hakusho
Dragon
by the end,
Ball,
it gets a little
it gets
bit
kind of dumb.
Dragon Ball Z-ish.
I ain't gonna argue, Jonah. I don't know.
Especially
as a black
the
man,
last
I don't
arc.
like Dragon Ball. Once Dragon Ball Z is over, I'm like, all right, I'm done. No more. Super isn't real.
Dragon Ball is superior to Dragon Ball Z.
Yes. Because Goku's like, oh, I need to get better, and he goes off and trains instead of like
Raising his family.
instantly better. To be fair, he has like a year with his kids.
Them nigga,
That's probably
he
more
has
than
a whole
most
ass
anime
grandkid
dads.
now, and he's like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "All right, we're done here."
Hey, at least he's around, unlike most anime dads.
Because they're either dead or waiting for their kids to come back to be strong enough to be like, "All right, let's have a fight."
Exactly, but at least he's still there.
He's not even there. This nigga is off training with Beerus and Brawly
Yeah.
and Whis, whatever the fuck the angel's name is.
All right, back to the episode. I just wanted to share that hot take because I knew that you guys riled up.
You were marginally wrong, not fundamentally, just marginally. Because you're right, he doesn't do a whole lot, but I'm there to see how the other people grow too, not just him. That's why they're a team. Team Urameshi.
I thought you were gonna say no, I'm wrong about getting you guys heated up, and then you got heated up, and I was like, I still win. All right, back to Cucking and NTR. Never thought I'd say that in my life.
I think. Let's see. Hold on. We are. Okay. 23 minutes into recording, and I think we've defined NTR at this point.
That's it.
Yeah. Let's start with: has any of us experienced cuckolding or NTR?
Not
yes
really.
and no.
Okay, you gotta explain the yes and
I
no.
was waiting for someone to go, what does that mean? So, flashback to, oh god, that was a decade ago. Shit, that was a decade ago. High school me, prior to dating the girl I was the lead up was, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna start dating, da 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 da. You gotta break up with your boyfriend first, because I'm not gonna do my mans like that. I don't know him all like that, but he's a cool dude. I think, maybe, from what I've gathered. She's like, okay. 2 days later, I fuck her, and she's like, oh, I haven't broken up with that. And I'm like, you dumb bitch, you promised! Why would you do that? And then she did it the day after, and then a week later, we went public and we're like, yeah, we're dating now. Ooh. That's it. That's all I got. I was gonna make that story way more fucked up than it was, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
You didn't want to make it like super exaggerated and crazy?
No. So I got lied to. And I'm like, why did you lie to me? I would have waited the extra 2 days before we did anything fun. Now I feel bad.
I've kind of been a cuck kick. That's such a weird but adorable term. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't
intentional. On purpose.
Like, it wouldn't really be considered
Planned.
cuck because it was not an all parties consenting thing.
Oh, so it was just
would be
accidental cheating. Yeah, that's what I classify mine as, accidental cheating. Because I was lied to. Which should have been red flag number one.
I feel like Minka's is probably more like
fun.
So it's
got more going on
definitely fits into eroge.
Into what?
Eroge.
A game? A hentai game?
No.
That's what eroge is. Hentai game.
The acronym defines a genre of eroge, a hentai category where the protagonist or lovers are seduced away from him willingly or unwillingly.
That's NTR. You said that was NTR earlier. Eroge is the thing
No, I
you
said
play.
NTR. NTR is a genre of eroge.
Yes, eroge is the thing you play.
Eroge is a hentai category.
Yeah, it's a game more often than not. Mostly it's just fucking visual novel, which isn't a real game, but it is a game, but I don't...
No.
I have never, in my 12 years of knowing what porn is, ever heard anyone explain an eroge as a thing that wasn't a game.
I am seeing now a lot of definitions saying that, like, it is a Japanese video or computer game. Some of them are saying visual novels, most often a visual novel or dating sim.
Oh, ooh, that explains Clannad, right? Clannad is technically an eroge. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Oh, is a Japanese shortening of erotic game. Okay, yeah, so no, I apologize. That other definition was not...
That's why you can't believe on everything about Urban Dictionary.
I'm not on...
I know
Why would I go to Urban Dictionary?
It's a meme. That's a meme.
Okay, so my apologies. I used it wrong, okay? I've learned.
Listen, I just want to make sure I'm not fucking crazy.
No Trees Replanted is a part of, you know, kind of a big thing, cuckolding, cheating, that kind of stuff. Some of it's...
Oh, that hurt my brain for a second.
Some of it's consensual, some of it's not. So here's me, little baby me at 21, and I'm going off into the world, having grown up very religious.
Poor thing.
Having really only discovered anything sexual was around the age of 18. I end up doing some, like, a public play, or a city play, and there's some older women in it, not like way older, but like 10 years older, and I'm always a flirt. I've always been a huge flirt.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Were you still using your dick at this point?
Yes.
Damn, I'm about to be a dad. If I'm in your situation, I'm about to be a dad.
That actually... Okay, so... Okay. That brings up another point that I will try to remember to get to. But anyway, so end up having this woman approach me who has kids, has a husband, and basically, like, things go on and get to the point where, like, I am having sex with her. Like, at her home, when the husband's away, like... we're going out places, all this kinds of stuff. Then I went from that relationship when that broke up to another woman 10 years my elder, exact same situation. So, like, the interesting thing about it is I don't really remember, like, I don't remember my first time having sex at all. And so it's like, it's possible that, like, there is a bit of trauma there, but it's kind of a hard thing to deal with because there's me and it's like, I'm 21. I technically was an adult, even though I feel like you aren't a real adult until you're at least 25.
There.
You know, like I am, there's at least part of me that's consenting to what's going on. And, you know, there may have been manipulation going on as well from the people older and they should have known better. But like, there's still a part of me that should have known better as well. But yeah, so like I ended up in that, but like pretty much no. I feel like the only way I fit into NTR is I even did it in high school. Shit. I was a slut. Was getting with girls who had male partners.
Well, wait. Were they like dating, or were they just fucking around? Because I just kind of fucked around my senior year before I was dating the girl.
The girl in high school had been actively dating for a long time.
Nigga.
This guy.
Nigga.
The two women were married. Apparently the guy, actually, I know the two of the guys I know found out. One of the married men, I don't know if he ever found out. But yeah, I know at one point I was like over at somebody's house with some other friends and somebody came, they were like, he's looking for you. He's going to kick your ass. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so apparently he found out, I guess, but,
square up thought.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But that's actually interesting because like I know that I don't have any kids and I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think that's what it was, because I was like, I don't remember if I used condoms or not, because that's part of it too, is like I was using a body part that like I didn't want, and I was just at that age where I was starting to really realize like that I was trans and all of that. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that might be why the sex isn't remembered, because it wasn't memorable for me, because I was using a part that like I didn't want. But I think that I didn't use condoms because I believe both of the married women had either tubes tied or had a mastectomy or something. So there wasn't any reason, because there wasn't any chance.
I'm so glad you were in that situation and not me. So glad.
Why do you say it like that?
Because how do I want to phrase this? If it were me and when I was 21, it would have been the White Cedar Rapids or whatever the fuck they're called. If you catch my drift. They're gonna get a head pat and I'm gonna walk out the room.
So these things happened in real life. That shit may have been a fetish or a fantasy for these women and girls that I was with. And
not their husbands.
Don't get me wrong. There is a part of that like secrecy and kind of like taking what is not really someone else's, but like kind of taking that is hot. So like while cucking is not a big thing for me, I definitely understand the appeal.
Please explain it to me like I'm 5 then.
Well, okay. Are you into humiliation?
Well, like
No.
you're 13.
Okay. That's
was
your biggest thing right there.
I was bullied enough as a kid till I started to fight back, and they're like, "Oh shit, he got hands and he fat, so they hurt."
There's a thrill in doing something you know you're not supposed to be doing or is morally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey man,
being the other person can bring out that thrill. It's the same thing if you've ever done any like public sexual things. There's a thrill there of like, what if I get caught? And it kind of makes the whole situation that much hotter.
you just explain politicians to me.
Weird.
What do you
No,
mean?
I do remember
they're lying in public, and if they get caught, they get fucked sometimes.
They just they only care
Listen, I liked my joke
about money. It was a good joke. But yeah, no, I do remember coming out of like the 2 relationships with the married woman and being like, fuck yeah, I'm a homewrecker, and like riding that wave. And like I look back and I'm like, I was such a fucking idiot. But
You were a fuckboy.
I was a Casanova is what I was.
In modern terms, a fuckboy.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. But thinking back on it, like, well, I am like 90% lesbian. So yeah, if there's anybody out there that wants a cake, not quake. Why do I keep saying quake?
Because it
sounds better.
Who wants a cuck cake to come in and, steal the woman away? I think I might be down for it.
Whoever came up with the combination of terms didn't realize how many times the "k" sound would be like.
Hey, it's been 30 amount of minutes. I think our guest should say something. Been kind of quiet over there.
I actually just remembered something from when I was in college that I guess going by one of the definitions of like NTR that we read off, I technically kind of like NTR'd a guy I never met and stole his girlfriend away from him purposefully. Like it was my intention.
Okay.
I'll just say this. I had lost a lot of weight and cleaned myself up my sophomore year of college, and I was looking hot.
Can't relate.
And there was this girl who I had a bunch of classes with who I started hanging out with. And I was like feeling really confident about myself. And one day when we were hanging out, she mentioned she had a boyfriend. And I was like, okay, never stopped me before. So basically slowly over time, I got like very close to her. And like, I never met the boyfriend, but by all accounts of her own, he wasn't like a great guy. So I just slowly convinced her to break up with him. And then like less than a week later, we hooked up, and then that became a relationship, which obviously didn't work out.
I was going to ask, how long did the relationship last?
If you include the because we started off as like regular friends with benefits, and then there was that awkward period where it was like we were dating without putting a label on it, and then we started dating. If you were to include all that, probably like 6 months.
So a bit more than like a rebound.
Yeah,
Okay.
I ended up breaking up with her because it didn't work out, and she dated a guy who looked very much like me, and I have a couple of like fairly unique traits.
Okay.
So that was very interesting, especially because I'm super blonde, and when we had started dating, she was like, "Blonde guys aren't usually my type." It was weird.
And then you're like, actually, turns out apparently they are exactly your type.
Yeah, I guess it was a strange situation.
Okay, so based off the information you have just provided, she very much likes an aesthetic that is more certainly clear than not. Going back to what you said prior, you had them do the breakup stuff and then you proceeded, or you proceeded and then they broke up?
No, her and I did not have any kind of like emotional or physical intimacy in any way until after they broke up. It was pretty shortly after they broke up, but I basically
See, you did it the right way though.
yeah, but I was doing it like completely intentionally. Like, I want her for myself, not this guy I've never met. He could be a totally normal, nice guy, and I would.
Well,
never know
according to
because
her,
was-
he wasn't. So there, it's fine. Maybe a little,
Well, but-
not really, but a little bit.
Okay, I was gonna say, but no, like there in this story, it's like he
had
he
ulterior
manipulated the situation for his benefit.
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like you just went do the thing. Haha, do it. You won't. Oh shit, you actually did it.
No, because like if you're like if we say that what he did was kind of okay because it's like, you know, oh no, she was with a shitty guy or whatever, and I just came in and saved her, and then we hooked up. Like that's not
different,
okay
yeah.
either, because that's the whole I'm a good guy theory is
yeah.
is that that's what's going to happen. Like this was an intentional, like I'm not going to save her mindset. It was a I want her for my own
What you mean?
mindset.
I'm gonna save her for me. I am saving her, but for me.
And it was also like I did it like the long game. It wasn't like we became friends and then I was like, you should break up with your boyfriend. It was like months and months of like I sound like such a scumbag, like worming my way into her life and just everything. It wasn't as far as like never did anything like gaslight her, like try to make friends with her friends or anything, but like
That's fair.
in a weird way, I just was like, I'm gonna become your friend, but with the intention of having more later.
That sounds
Also
like
break
how
up with your
most
boyfriend for me.
people act nowadays. You were just
Kind
ahead of the curve.
Illegal therapy with Minka.
Jesus Christ.
Manipulation is not always bad. Most things we do are manipulation. Going to a therapist is using manipulation to help you grow and learn, because they're manipulating you in ways to help you think about things more and like analyze things more. So pretty much everything we do that involves another person involves some form of manipulation. If you see someone and they're like, oh, they're a manipulator, like we all are, but usually what it's referencing is they are using that manipulation for their own gain to get things for themselves that they want. And, you know, like manipulation was a defense mechanism for me when I first like came out as trans, and it became a thing where I was like manipulating relationships and manipulating things to basically keep myself safe, but also like it became such a habit that I was using it for things that I just wanted. And so anytime anything I couldn't manipulate like went a way I didn't want, like it always frustrated me. And so I've tried to work on that a lot and talk about it a lot in therapy. But yeah, there's a difference between someone who's manipulating and thinking like, oh, I'm going to save them from a bad guy, and then I'm sure because they think that I'm the hero, they will want to date me, and someone who's like, I want this girl and I'm going to like figure out a way to get her. Oh, turns out her boyfriend's pretty shitty anyway, so this won't be as hard as I thought it might be. Like those are two entirely different things. And like, you know, MisterretsiM has already said, you know, he knows it was kind of a skeezy thing to do. Much like I know that the relationships I was in were skeezy things to do. It's like I don't feel like I would ever do those things again now, and I don't want the audience to think that we're saying, oh no, it's okay to go and like pull someone from a relationship or whatever, because generally it's not consensual amongst everyone. But, you know, obviously we're bringing it up here because it's part of the fantasy. And so I do feel like it's okay to look back at former situations and kind of be like, okay, well, this thing I did was bad, but like this part was kind of hot. because like this is reality, you know, like you have different feelings for everything that happens in your life. And so it's okay to be able to look at something, and even if it was something traumatic, like you can still look at it and be like, hey, actually this part of it, this little part of it was something that actually was not bad.
Yeah.
Legal therapy with me.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm definitely not endorsing it. And God, if I was ever single again, I wouldn't even have the energy to do all that.
Right.
Yeah, getting old.
At 20, it was easy. At almost 30, not as
Shit,
much.
dog, me too.
Plus, it was college. All I was doing was going to class and drinking anyway. So.
Oh, y'all got to drink.
Yeah,
It's kind of
a lot.
It's kind of amazing how much easier it was to get with people when you were in school.
Well, yeah, that's okay. Okay. Well, before I move on with the current topic, well, yeah, because you see them every day. It's a lot easier, but that's neither here nor there.
Sense.
We'll get into that some other day. MisterretsiM, I wanted to call you the other name so fucking bad. Why did you write an NTR story to begin with? Let's start there. That should have been the first question, but it wasn't.
Okay, so obviously, since I do write it, and I started writing it without anybody paying for me for it or anything, I do to some extent like NTR and Cuckold. I'm not really sure. One of those fetishes I couldn't pin down where it came from for you, but the reason I started off with it was more because like the idea that I had, because like in the first chapter of A Condom Big Enough for a Fuda, the whole thing gets set off by the three characters. You have Dylan and Jessica, who Dylan is a cis male, Jessica's a cis woman, Victoria's a Fuda. Dylan and Jessica are dating. They have a group chat where they're texting, and one of them sends a meme, I think it was Jessica, that was like picture of a regular, like a condom for a penis and an inner condom for a vagina. And the inner condoms are a lot bigger, and it's captioned, "Damn, girls be having big penises for real," or something like that, which is based off an actual picture that I saw. And that picture that meme that I saw in real life, like, gave me the idea of, like, logically to me, where that would lead for an erotica story would be cuckolding, where the girl with the bigger penis isn't a girl, she's a Fuda cucking the guy, and that's what came from it. That being said, my second story was also a cuck story, and like my first, I don't know, in my first 6 months of writing, like half the stories I wrote were cuck, NTR, whatever. Somebody was getting hurt.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
Yeah. It was like,
sometimes it was the reader, but
let me tell you, because in pseudo preparation for today, I read a bunch of NTR and cheating dojins to like compare. I don't know if it's the nostalgia old manness starting to kick in, but I feel like the NTR from like 6 years ago was way more aggressive than what they're doing now. It's like I always remember. I'll keep this memory until my brain's like, you don't need it no more. The dude. All right, we're going to get a little degenerate here. The boy, because it is a child technically, is hiding in the closet. He's going to surprise his mom. Some dude walks in. He's like, "What? Who? That's not Dad. Who's that?" Dude starts fucking his mom, and he's like, "I want to fuck my mom too." And I'm like, "Son, why are you first of all, why are you hiding in the closet? Second of all, you're like 12. Third of all, how did you come to the natural conclusion of, yes, I also want to fuck my mom and cheat on my mom, but my dad with my mom?" And I'm like, does Japan need a hug? Does like the island series of islands need a hug? Are y'all okay? What's going on? Because that's like a huge leap in logic.
That's a couple layers of hell deeper than just NTR.
But it is NTR though, and I'm just like, bruh, what's wrong with y'all? Who hurt y'all? What's wrong with y'all? And then 6 years later, listening to a fucking Steak and Eggs podcast, this nigga Asmont Gold explained it, and it makes sense. Like it worked. Y'all ever play Mario?
No, what's that?
Yeah, what's Mario?
You know, Chris Pratt.
Oh,
is that the kid in the
Mario.
green dress?
I will end this fucking show. I swear to God, Minga.
Oh, Mario.
Yeah, Mario.
Let's fucking not. So, he explained that.
Also, really quick, Mr. M, I hope none of that, my whole illegal therapy thing, came across as like me trying to talk for you, because that was not my intention.
Oh no, you're good. You explained it all well though too.
Okay.
Can I continue?
Sure.
Yes. You can start talking about Mario again.
So, there is not canonical. There's a reason Princess Peach is always going back to fucking Bowser. He's got that big turtle dick that a human dick can't compare to. And I'm like, no.
You're now...
But...
See, but again,
but...
you're bringing up all these stories that have...
I was like, well, no. Him taking Peach is a political move and da-da-da-da-da. But this gives every NTR person an excuse to go, oh yeah, the Mario games taught me this. This is why I do it. It's ingrained in the culture. And I'm like, I ain't got a defense for that. I can't argue with that because it worked too. It's like a game theory video. It worked too well for me to argue, and I'm not doing the research to disprove it. So you know what? You're right.
There's definitely a lot of Peach and Bowser cuckolding hentai.
Yeah, my favorite, my headcanon is that they are in a threesome, and like cuckolding is one of their fetishes.
I fall into the camp, but they do whatever the fuck they want. I'm going, Rosalina, take me off to space. Come on, just abduct me, please. I don't want to be here.
He wants tall space mommy.
If she's as nice as she seems, by all means, just give me the fuck off this godforsaken planet. But no, like that makes it make sense, and I hate that. So I don't want that stemming from my video games, where I just run to the right and jump. But no, we can't have simplicity in games where you just push 3 buttons.
Okay, I can tell you how to not let things like that ruin things in your life.
Well, it didn't ruin it. It made it make sense. I'm just like, fuck, he's right.
You just have a memory like mine where it erases it every 5 minutes.
I don't want that, because then you
just don't go on the internet.
Yeah, just don't go on the internet. Easy.
I wasn't on the internet.
Easy.
I was just on Spotify.
It sounds like the internet.
No,
Spotify's connected to the internet.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Mine is 100.
And how did you access the music?
That's how I know your ass don't pay attention, because I said podcast. I said steak and eggs.
Okay, whatever. The podcast music, how did you access it?
He
If
went
not,
to where they
through the
recorded
internet.
it, and they hand out USB flash drives.
No, I just sat on.
plugged it.
What are you talking about? They're editor's Cameron. What do you think fucks editing their show?
No, what he did was he got a floppy drive from them, not a flash drive.
Floppy disk.
Wow. Yeah, same thing. I heard floppy drive a lot growing up.
And then it's a disk drive.
All right, so like, do you read other NTR stories and go, I want to do that, but with my characters?
Yeah, like to some extent, I'll definitely like read a story and I'll be like, oh, that's a really interesting take or interesting way to go about it. And I'll never like directly copy and be like, I'm gonna just take this plot and insert my own characters into it. But I'll definitely like take the basis for the idea and manipulate it to work for how I write and what I want to tell. Actually, the Cuck Queen story I wrote, Cuck Queen Conundrum, there's this author whose name escapes me now on Literotica. I don't know if they still write, but they only ever wrote Cuck Queen stories. And they were pretty well written, but they were all the same, where it was like plain average woman dating engaged or married to like studly, smart, handsome, big dick guy. And then he would catch the eye of some super hot, driven, manipulative woman and she would steal him away from his unappreciative wife. And that's like how every single one of his stories was. Because I'd read them and that was partially the inspiration for the Cuck Queen story, I actually took in the opposite direction, where the story is about a wife who's married to a Fuda. The cis woman wife is the super hot one, and the woman that she gets cucked by is very like plain and average. So yeah, no, I definitely will read other people's like Cuck, NTR, whatever stories, and be like, I like that, but I would do it this way, and then I jot it down in my notes, and hopefully one day it'll get.
All right, cool. Because there's one NTR story, and I'm like, I can fuck with this, because Protag Kun gets his revenge, and I'm like, yes, I like this. This is fine. I will not elaborate unless asked, since no one asked.
Did the story you're talking about involve Fuda?
No.
No, never mind.
It's just a dojin. It's just it's a dojin. I even said I sent it to Puce to be nice because he was like, "Yeah, send those to me," and I did, and didn't read them like a bitch.
There's a very famous Fuda Cuck story where the protagonist sort of gets his revenge, but it's like ending / last chapter is a little bit not controversial. People are divided on whether it ended well or not. I thought you might have been referring to
whether it had a satisfying ending or not.
Yeah, basically. Well, it's like dude is good friends with a super hung Fuda and he's dating this girl. One day, I think it's supposed to be like his birthday. His girlfriend ties him up and is like, I have a surprise for you. And then she gets fucked by the Fuda who does the whole I'm a mean superior Fuda thing.
Damn, on his birthday.
In the second chapter, it's revealed that the girlfriend had went onto his computer and discovered that he was into cucking, but had never told her, so she was going to surprise him. But she didn't inform him beforehand. So he doesn't exactly enjoy it, or at least he won't openly admit it. When they finally release him, he like socks the Fuda in the face and leaves, and like completely leaves their life, and then comes back in the last chapter, and they like join up as a throuple. It has kind of a weird...
Oh yeah, that is. Also, I do want to say between the two stories that you've mentioned, which I read the first one and I've read like a little bit of the second one, it is a very interesting difference between, you know, how far a Fuda dick can go into a woman in the first one versus what's going on in the second one.
You know, wanted to do something different. You know, occasionally I'll get these comments that are like, these sizes and proportions are so messed up. There's no way a 3-foot dick could ever fit in a woman or whatever. So I was like, what if I made that the plot of a cucking story?
Yeah, no, I think it's great, like, to see the variety. And, you know, and I'm very much one of those people where it's like, no, like, this is all fucking fantasy and fetish. Like, who gives a shit about physics? But some people do. So.
Yeah. And I've said before, or I think I said on the other episode that I was on, that like I am very aware that everything I write is impossible, bad anatomy, it would kill people, everything. But it's a fantasy fetish. It's hot. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I don't go and look up these hentai things for things that are realistic. Like I go to the hentai for the shit that isn't physically possible.
Exactly.
You know, like buying a house in this economy.
I
will continue to make that
That's why like
joke.
all my characters live in apartments. They're all too poor to afford houses.
That was too real. So I was gonna compare and contrast like your, I guess, style of NTR-ness and cheating versus the how fucking Japan. I guess I can't classify the 15 stories I read as Japan as a whole, even though they were fairly varied.
Do it. Just make them.
No, I'm not going to be
stories.
you and
make that generalization.
I will say modern stories in the community. There, that can't be generalized that egregiously. So for one thing, if I don't see the other partner, I'm just like they aren't real. They don't exist. Because I'm like, what? Like, yeah, I'm married. Da 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 da. Okay, I'm looking around the house. There's no pictures of y'all together. There's no wedding ring. Y'all haven't produced a spawn. So like, why you lie to me? You not married? Oh, she hid the ring. No, she didn't. She's just not fucking married. Or if she is, she's lying to evade taxes, which, you know, sound strategy. More ups to you. But if the other person, if I don't see the other person, it's just maybe light cheating or non-existent. I'm like, this shit isn't real.
Any good cuck story, whether it's like written or, you know, like in a dojin or whatever, it really has to have the betrayed partner's reaction or whatever, or them being present in some way, or like, not to say that it's pointless to have it be NTR then, but it loses, or cuckolding, but it loses a lot of the what people like about that, which is having one person being humiliated.
Yeah, but I don't Well, that's not what I'm here for. Also, what the fuck? Why are all the NTR dojins?
I feel like you're here for the wrong reasons if you're not here for the humiliation.
Nigga, I don't want to be here. That's the whole point. Doing this for you because you
already
want to
agreed to
talk
be
about
here.
this, bitch.
Right, but you wanted to explain to.
No, I wanted to have it
us to
explained
explain
to
to you, like,
me.
Yeah, and we have, but like that's not gonna,
Yes,
turn
it's
you
just
on to
yeah,
it.
it's just validated
Wait, Minka,
that.
you weren't planning on making Alt like it by the end of this?
No.
Oh.
See, this is why Minka's the favorite. Sometimes.
I've had some people who have read my Cuck NTR stories despite not liking it, but wanting to read them for the hyperfoodiness, and who have then come out later and been like, yeah, I kind of like Cuck and NTR now. So, gotta be careful.
Okay, but my problem
it's true.
is when like the women are really hot, like hotter than the average Dojin woman, and I'm like, bruh,
Sure.
how did you like even in your story? I'm like, how did this scrawny, not minimal, absolute minimum below average motherfucker end up with this super hot girl? I'm like, okay, he's funny. Yeah, that's got to be it. He's funny. In your story, you did not explain that, so I'm like, how in the fuck? He must got the
It happens
riz.
in real life.
I know, and
It
I
happens in real
don't
life.
get it. After what Puce...
Not all of us, I am admittedly, but not all of us are that shallow. Maybe he's got a stunning personality.
Man, you didn't write that, so I don't know.
That's not
I don't
what the
know
story's
either
about.
because I wrote that story 3 years ago and it was my first attempt at writing. A lot of things could have been improved.
No, I'm saying
but
you did a good job, but I'm like, how the fuck did he end up with her? Because when it does happen in real life, I'm like, explain yourself. And it's like, it's either money, charisma, or I'm funny. And I'm like, what about you being stupid? Or like, oh yeah, it's part of it too. They like that. And I'm like, I'm not that dumb though. And they're like, you fucked up. And I just look at them like, come on, just punch me in the face, make me dumb.
later chapter, I want to say chapter 4 of that series. Spoilers: Victoria fucks both their mothers at the same time. It's I can't remember if it's just explicitly stated or heavily implied that they have known that Dylan and Jessica, the couple in question, had known each other for a long time and were from like the same city and went to like high school and stuff together. So that's also it for why somebody who's as hot as Jessica would be dating a guy like Bill.
All right, but once you get to college, you got like, damn, I got all these options, maybe, kind of, potentially, sort of.
Yeah, and hers was Victoria.
I mean,
Hers was a very hung Fuda.
I mean, that wasn't really an option. It was more of it fuck around and find out. And that's literally what happened.
I've thought about writing a prequel story for like the lead up of what happened to before, like essentially the opening of that first chapter.
I feel as
That could
though
be
you should, and it would be a very nice companion piece. It's not the right prequel. At the story you used. I know words.
Kind of use like write the 30 minutes between, hey, I'm out, I'll be back in 30 minutes, and the first picture sent.
Yeah, pretty much. It would go a little bit earlier. The idea was like Jessica goes over to somebody else's like dorm or apartment and just happens to basically walk in on Victoria fucking that person, so she sees Victoria's giant cock and all that for the first time and like becomes interested, and just Victoria notices her and basically uses the beginning of a condom big enough for a food, chapter 1, as like the perfect time to seduce her.
Follow-up question.
Sure.
Why the fuck wasn't she in class? If they're in the same class, where the fuck was she at?
It's called skipping class.
He had
Dylan was the only one in class.
I thought
and he
the
had
group
signed up
chat-
for a specific
I thought the group chat
class on
was
that
for
Friday
that
evening.
class though.
It was for a previous class they were all in.
Oh.
Yeah, it was for a previous class.
Oh, he fucked up. Dumb bitch.
Do you not pay attention to the things
I
on
know.
the-
I literally said I skimmed through it because I'm like, this hurts. I like this is gonna hurt. I know it's gonna hurt. And then by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I don't hurt as much because Dylan's just kind of here. He's not much of a. No offense, he's not much of a character. I ain't got no investment. Past, man, that sucks.
That's why he's basically not in the story anymore. Neither is Jessica.
I do want to say, like, as that being like your first published story,
Very
I
good.
was very, I was very impressed because like you did have this other stuff going on. It wasn't just like, oh, porn, haha, sex, 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 which, I mean, there was a lot of that, but you also included these other details. And so it's like you had a really good mix of just like including enough details about the surroundings and everything going on to make it more realistic in that sense with everything else. And so like I felt like there was a really good balance that you got in there.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Thank
why
you.
it hurt more.
My my stories are long as hell on average. I think a condom is the first chapter is like top 3 shortest I've ever written. And part of that is because I'm maybe a little too detail focused at time where I'm constantly like describing the scenery and all that. But, I do think it helps immerse people, especially for something like cucking, which is kind of like a very personal thing to read about, or
But yeah, like for me, I very much am one of those people where it's like if I'm just looking for a quick, I want to get off, it's like I'll pull up a video or something. But if I want to be like turned on and enjoy it and just like really bask in the horny, like I want a story. And if I'm going to go for a story, like I want it to be a story. So like I, for one, very much appreciate the details and stuff. And like, you're not even close to the level of like Tolkien with descriptions and stuff. Because
no, I don't go that far.
Yeah, you don't spend like 6 pages describing what the chair looks like in the corner.
No, I think that you, at least from that one, like have a good balance of it, because it gives you a very visual, vivid picture of what's going on and like the different parts, like like the Fuda dick, like you get a real sense of what it looks like and everything. So I think you did a great job with that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
To slightly pull the attention away from Mr. M, Minka and Suna, I have a question for you guys.
What do you want?
Because Mr. M and several other servers let me post a few questions in their servers, I got a lot of responses. The 2 things that came up a lot: black guys being the bulls, and the queer community being a big thing in the cuck community in NTR.
What? What?
That was what came up a lot.
So,
okay, the first one, because black dudes have bigger this. The second part, what?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same, because it's like black men are often fetishized, so that obviously is going to come up more. But yeah, the second part is interesting. Like what?
That came up at least 2 or 3 times.
Okay, but you also just said I did a survey. You did not tell us, hey, I'm going to be asking people these questions. Here are the questions. You did that after I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I wanted to be somewhat surprising.
No, that's not how you do that.
Okay, but like, did they have anything more specific than that, or they were just like, why do a lot of cuck stories seem to include queer stuff?
Not even cuck stories. It was more like, obviously the black guy thing was like, black guys seem to be the bull in a lot of just cuck stories and in real life, as well as queer people take part in cuckolding a lot. And I was like, why do you say that? And they're like, just experience. And I'm like,
you need to know. I'm gonna need details, motherfucker.
Yeah. That was the weird thing. I was like, I don't understand it, because they were like, trans femme people usually are being cucked. And I'm like, I feel like you're not using the right phrase.
So here's my theory on this. A lot of the queer community tend to be neurodivergent.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that neurodivergence leads to not fitting into social norms, and so kind of gets to this point of feeling more confident to just kind of say fuck society and like I'm going to do what I want. And so you do end up running into a lot of queer people in kink spaces. I wouldn't say they're the majority per se, but well, I don't know, because most people that I've run into were usually like, well, either if they weren't straight, they were like, well, like I'm curious, or different stuff. I also know that a lot of those same people tend to be geared mentally more for polyamory. And so it's very possible that because of polyamorous relationships they're in, that these fantasies kind of come up of like, oh my God, like I love my partner, but I love other people. And like, it would be so hot to like see my partner get fucked by someone else while I can't do anything. I can't say for sure why this person is running into that, but that is my best
That
theory.
seemed to be their line of thought, as well as they are more open to the taboo things and open relationships. So they end up looking at or thinking about being cucked or cucking others.
Well, because when you're poly too, like, it's easier to do a consensual cuck scene because you already have, chances are you might already have more than 2 people in your relationship. And so, there may be a thing where it's like, oh, we're not a triad, but like, he's the boyfriend to both of us. And so I want to, have to sit there and watch him fuck her instead of me, because I also am into kink and I have a humiliation kink and like all this stuff. Like, it kind of makes sense as I think about it, but obviously, it's kind of like, do queer people in horror tend to match up so much? It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know that there is really just an answer we can have for that.
No,
You said horror. I thought you said whore.
same thing.
Why are all queer people whores?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Because they're more accepted by the people around them that accept them, so they have the opportunity to partake in the stuff people wish they could do because they're too scared or sheltered to ask.
Tell me more.
God, what a succinct explanation.
While that was bullshit, it does kind of make sense. So, give me like 20 minutes and I'll give you a better answer, maybe.
I give him that.
Yeah, give me. I at least get a B, a European B.
Let's see. What the heck is that?
Like a fucking 90%, because only in America where you can get half the test right. No, you still failed. Everywhere else, hey, you get like a C.
I was gonna say I give you a C.
I'll take an American C, like 70%. I'm just gonna keep the poly stuff nice and wholesome to fit the Xenoblade Chronicles and Mushoku Tensei.
Sure.
Yep.
Suna, did you want to? Because obviously there's some people asking, so they probably don't know the full issue with the fetishization of black people. Did you want to explain that?
Well, it was less asking. And a lot of the people who were answering, a couple people, I believe, in MisterretsiM server went into it, and then a couple people in different servers I was questioning in went into the fact that cucking like started typically in the past with like people fantasizing about black people cucking them and stuff like that. Not sure how.
I'll do you one better.
I think I saw something about that. It may have been somebody else's.
I will do you one better. It's the slave owner's daughter going, he could pick me up and, force me against the wall. None of the other noblemen can do that, so, hey you, slave, come here. I got a quarry for you. Quandary, quagmire, whatever the fuck, Q-word. There you go, that's how it started. Congratulations, you've been learned.
For any that don't know exactly, there is a big thing with like I mentioned it kind of earlier, but the big fetishization of black people, and so it is a problem because it is like, oh no, you're more of a sex object than you are a human, because a lot of black men, the stereotype is they have larger cocks, and so there's also that fascination where it's like, oh, the women go for black men because they can please the women way better than a white guy ever could, and so it's become this like, honestly, it's got some racism tied into it, and it's become this big thing where a lot of black men especially are just viewed as, someone to fuck and to please instead of being like a full human.
Having agency.
Yeah, because my whole thing with that is, okay, you've had the sex, now what are you gonna do?
Right, and it, and it's been going on for a long time. It's like once you go black, you don't go back. Like you can find all sorts of things that are come from this, and it's not just black people and black men. Like, obviously these fetishizations happen with all sorts of groups. Asian women,
people really like Asians.
yeah, like if you ever say you have yellow fever, you are being racist, by the way, so don't use that. because you are just then generalizing like an entire population and generalizing them into a fetish.
Yeah,
Which one's jungle fever?
that's for black people.
Weird. Okay.
That's for fetishizing black.
I knew that was a phrase. I just couldn't remember which group it corresponded to.
Yeah.
I was watching a video and I think it sums that up the best. Most of the world, they really like the Japanese lady aesthetic because they're cute, they're well put together. Same for the men, except that handsome. Some of them are cute, to each their own. But like once you get past the aesthetic and you go into like the culture, you're like, hey yo, what the fuck? Are y'all okay? Do you need a hug? You can like leave your job for your PTO and it's okay. Like that, right? And they're like, nah. And I'm like, how do y'all function? How do y'all get anything done?
Yeah, there are a lot of issues with the Japanese culture, unfortunately.
So that's why, as much as I'm like, yeah, I'd go over there to live, I'm like, no, I wouldn't. I would not last more than a week at the fucking office. So I'd need like a non-regular job. So also, I couldn't live there because they're like, no gaijin. And I'm like, the dirty bitch, walk away. That's what it's gonna happen. I'm telling you, 2 years, it's gonna fucking happen. And be like, well, I tried.
And there's still a lot of xenophobia over there.
Oh, it's so much. At this point, it might as well just be racism. They don't like the Koreans. The Koreans are a type of Asian, so and I'm like, what is wrong with y'all?
They also don't like the Chinese.
They really don't like the Chinese. We'll get into that another day.
Yeah, I was like, enough about politics, though. What other questions?
What are your thoughts on NTR and cuckolding? Have you ever experienced it? If so, how is that different from the fantasy? And if not, do you want to experience it? Most people fell into one of three groups. I had a couple people, less than like 5 people, who were into it and hadn't experienced it, but wanted to. A large majority of people were like, it's not my thing, but I like to read it because the stories are always well written, which was mostly MisterretsiM's community.
You don't say.
And then there was this very small part of of people asked, and by that I mean like I think one person who was vehemently against it.
Why the fuck are you in the community?
I don't ask me, because this person has had his history of horrible takes, and like everybody around them's like, you realize what community you're in, right? And they're like, no. This community is okay. And I'm like, okay, it's not different than what you just said, but okay.
Some people do, like, especially when it comes to religion, a lot of people learn how to do mental gymnastics to make themselves okay with things going on. And
this person deserves a gold medal in
mental gymnastics.
Hey, man.
It really sounds like it's something where it's like, no, I'm into this fetish and this fetish. And they've somehow convinced themselves that God is okay with those two, kinky sinny fetishes, but these other ones, they're really bad. But the people they're talking to obviously wouldn't be in those because that's sinning. It's an interesting way to live.
All right, me down, girl. I can hear in your voice. Down. It's all right.
I mean, to be fair, it's a fair response because this person, I'm not gonna lie, likes Fuda, vehemently hates and is disgusted by trans people.
Well, okay. So
shit, I might know who you're talking about.
I don't think they're not in your community, or at least I would be surprised.
Fuck, I know who you're talking about.
Based on reality and a lot of situations where this has happened, one, it's because trans people are real, whereas Fuda is not, and so because they're into it, the Fuda is okay because it's fake, whereas the trans people are real and they have to hate it because they like it so much, and so they go to the other extreme. Or two, they eventually are going to come out as trans.
Listen, you can come out. It's okay. I'll even hold the door for you. Just calm down. Chill. We're all here for a good time.
But yeah, that person was, I'm pretty sure, the only one who was like vehemently against it who answered. Everybody else was like, I don't like it, but to each their own.
Yeah. To that person, if you're listening, don't
I doubt they listen to this
don't
podcast.
put yourself through that. You obviously are in agony trying to figure out how the things that you are feeling and you are into line up with this religion. Don't don't put yourself through that. It's agony. Either start questioning the religion or maybe find a different religion where you don't have to feel like you're going to burn in hell because you have something that turns you on that you don't have control over. But like, you don't do that to yourself, please. It's not healthy.
I don't think your words will ever reach their ears, Minka, unfortunately. Even if they did listen to this podcast.
Yeah, maybe it'll plant a seed.
That person was the only one in that extreme. Like I said, most people fell into the middle of either liked reading it and was not interested actually in doing it, or didn't like it but figured to each their own, with a couple exceptions being at the other extreme of wanting to try it and being interested.
Have we talked about like
Which is
actual
interesting.
cucking, the consensual kind yet? Have we done that? I feel like we haven't.
A little bit.
Not like
To a much lesser
in
extent.
depth though. I feel like we talked about cheating in NTR, but not like actual cucking.
Well, it's harder when none of us, I think, at least as far as any of us have said, have much experience with consensual.
Maybe we can still talk
cuckolding,
about it.
But that's true. I've written a consensual cuckold story before for a commission. Consensual cuckolding is just when the partner being cuckolded, the other person enjoys it, enjoys watching, hearing about it, etc., enjoys the humiliation of seeing their partner be intimate with somebody else.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want to talk about.
So-
Yeah, you laid that out perfectly. Thank you. So like, for me, not necessarily me, because we'll get into it later. The people I associate with at work in real life, let's call it real life. They don't have the humiliation thing. It's more so sex isn't as intimate and personal as the general populace makes it out to be. So it's kind of like,
To some extent, that sounds somewhat less like cucking then and more of just like an open
but it is, but it's not. Because like they still don't want them to do the thing, but the thing still happens, and they're like, well, he may have a big dick, but that nigga is dirt poor. He look homeless, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, you're right. You know what? This is what you need to make yourself feel better. Just like she needs a better dick to make herself feel better. So you know what? Go for it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Ugly, homeless, poor, don't even throw in dumb. It's like, yeah, he's dumb too. And I'm like, I'm smart enough to take your girl, but so part of me is like, well, you don't got her here, but you got her everywhere else, and I wouldn't know how to like navigate that in real life, if that makes sense. You can't see what I'm doing with my hands, making a circle. I know I'm making like a circle.
I don't know if I do fully understand.
So like, I'll use MisterretsiM as an example this time. I'm stop picking on Puce. Let's say I lost my job. I started dressing more like a hobo, and I got like half my IQ ripped away. Just come into MisterretsiM life and like fucks his girlfriend, and you're okay with this only because you're like, you can only satisfy her physically. Everything else, that's all me. And
Okay.
I'm like,
So
fair argument.
what this
that sounds more
but
what
like
it's
this sounds
not,
like to me
though.
is someone who's like, no, we're monogamous, but yeah, she goes and gets fucked by this guy, and it's okay because that's a need I can't fill. Like that. Even if they don't technically, like, I'm not huge on like labels are the be all end all of anything, but that is an open relationship.
But they aren't
Yeah.
together. I just show up the one time and I leave because I gotta go back to my shitty state.
Well, and that's probably how they have come to terms to make it okay, because then it's like, nope, yep, you're fucking someone new every time, like it's someone there's no deep connection with, so there's no like, because I don't want you filling that emotional need with anyone else, literally just the physical need with them. So like, don't bring in someone that don't bring in someone multiple times. Like it is it's literally to make it so it is literally just the physical need that is being met, but it is still a type of open relationship.
Follow-up question for you science people: can you get bigger dick surgery? ?
Yes.
You both said that like depressively.
I know too much.
No, I mean, like, you can, it's essentially like implants that you get to make your dick. It can make it longer, but usually it just makes it like thicker. But they're so like early stages that like every picture I've seen, the dick just looks awful.
Yeah, we're not to cyberpunk levels of dick enhancement yet.
It's like if you've ever seen a dude who's like injected like saline into his dick. Same thing.
Why the fuck have y'all seen that?
Garbage.
Okay, you get a pass because you write stories. Puce, what the fuck?
You've never been on the internet long
Bro,
enough.
I want to hear MisterretsiM's explanation. You cut him off.
Well, I write about characters with giant dicks, and obviously real life dicks can't get that giant, but if I watch real life porn, generally the search term that I'm going with is different variations of like huge cock. And I've been doing that for going on 20 years, and you see some shit, and one of the things that you see are men who have injected every part of their genitalia with silicone to make it bigger, and it looks grotesque and not at all pleasurable to use for either part.
Okay, but I've seen people take horse and dog dicks, and I'm like, bruh, why?
That sounds like
what?
Look, people out there.
I mean, I'm right there with you. Bestiality is one of my big like no-nos that I want.
So okay, all right. We talked about this in the Pokemon episode. If it's drawn, don't care. When we get to real life, I'm like, but why? Why are you doing that? What's going on there? What's wrong with you?
It's a total no. I don't do bestiality written, drawn.
That's fine. No. I'm just saying. The Victorian meme is funny until someone draws a picture, and I'm like, damn, that Victorian look kind of hot though.
No, but it's good to know your hard limits.
Listen, don't give Pokemon titties. Don't do that. Bad.
Why not?
Because then people will draw them fucking, and you will just like, nah, don't want.
So what if I want to give Snorlax the big fat pair of titties?
Then I'm about to fuck that Snorlax and go about my business.
Same.
I'm so confused. Okay, so Pokemon are okay, but real life animals are not.
I'm not really into Pokemon in any way sexually either, but generally they're anthropomorphized. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And at that point, I mean, they're not an animal. It's just like getting off to furry porn, which I'm okay with.
See, now I feel like I'm the fucked up individual.
Okay,
you are.
So
I mean, I am the producer of this show, so you know.
your line is basically like whether it's real, fake, drawn, fantasy, whatever. If it is a animal as we know them in the world that cannot speak and cannot like give verbal consent, that's your line. But if
yes.
But if they're like humanized at all, can actually like have that intellectual and consent conversation, then it's like, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, because at that point they look humanoid, and like that's where I'm fine, because like part of it is just like any animal that's like just an animal, like they don't have an appealing shape, nor do I want to see them fuck people with an appealing shape. And also I just generally don't really care for like whether it's on an animal, a furry character, or a human character. I'm really not big into like animal genitals.
Okay, that's fair. You okay there, Suna?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have a retort to that. Just in real life, yeah, no, you're right. But if it's drawn, I'm like, don't make it too realistic. I was gonna pull up a picture of a Pokemon, but I can't find it. I thought I had it on my phone, but oh wait, I do. Never mind. There it is. Yeah, like that. Like I'm fucking that. I'm making an Eevee with that.
I'm okay.
That's a thing that is always fascinating to me, is just like what levels and like how fetishes manifest in different people too, because supposedly we can track everything back to something, usually
Trauma.
in like younger life, but not always. But I
Trauma.
feel like there are some things where it's just like, where the fuck did I get that fetish from? And kind of like you were saying earlier about some of your readers where they've come back and they were like, well, I wasn't into that, but now I'm kind of into it. Like, I do feel like there is, to an extent, a way to turn, like, basically become turned on by something, but it still usually, I'm guessing, needs to have some sort of sexual connection that hits that pleasure section of your brain, and it goes, oh, that was a thing that I was reading, and even though I was getting turned on by this part, I've now read so many stories where that was also happening that have hit the pleasure sensor, that my brain now goes, oh, no, that feels good too. So I do believe there is an extent that you can get yourself into something if you wanted to. Though, I mean, I don't feel like that's usually necessarily the case. And a lot of times it's just like, oh no, I was just doing these other things that made me horny, and this just kind of happened to start to become a thing over time.
Oh yeah, completely. I've talked about this elsewhere, but I have jokingly called it like the transitive fetish property, where if you're watching or reading, if you're getting off to something with a fetish that you enjoy, but it includes a fetish you don't enjoy, if you eventually you will become desensitized to the fetish that you enjoy, and then you will start to associate the fetish that you enjoy with the fetish that you do, that are interlinked, and then eventually the fetish that you don't enjoy will become one. I'm pretty sure that's probably for me where like enjoying NTR and cuck stuff came from, because like, as I've said, basically forever my main fetish has been giant dicks. And even back in the day, in like 2008, a lot of the stories like that were cuck and fetish stuff. So even back then, even if I was like meh about the cuck fetish part, I was reading it for the giant cock part. And then eventually I was like, no, this cucking part isn't so bad. I'm also pretty sure that's where I first started to get into Fuda, but then I just realized that I'm pansexual and I don't really give a shit.
I dig that.
All right. So it sounds like we've made it through everything that we've kind of bookmarked and wanted to talk about. Last call. Anybody got last thoughts, opinions, questions?
Yes. MisterretsiM, since you are our first returning guest,
Yeah.
and I was supposed to do this with Della, but I forgot, and I didn't want to put her on the spot. She very kindly asked me not to. You have to ask us all a question now.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, so it's okay for me to be put on the spot.
Yes, she specifically asked that I didn't do it, and I'm like, fine.
You see, Mr. M, you are a man, and Della is a woman. And she has a nice,
my voice
cute
was,
You also didn't
my
ask
voice
me
was
to
more
not put you on the
seductive.
spot.
Yeah.
if my voice was more seductive, would you still put me on the spot?
Absolutely.
No, let's hear it.
Well,
No,
it's
that's his
because
question. There you go. That's his question. That's all
Oh,
he's got.
snap.
Don't
Oh,
make this an out
snap.
for him. This was literally going to be a bit. Well, it was going to be a bit for her, but she said, please don't. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll make it for every returning guest will have to do this. So if you come back to the show, you better have some fucking questions ready.
You've just scared off all of our guests.
And the podcast.
Della's gonna be back. We've already talked about it. We just don't know when.
April Fools. We've talked about it.
Well, if I ever come back a third time for whatever topic, I'll make sure to come up with some questions.
No, nigga, it's the second time. You ain't getting out of this.
No, you literally...
I already asked you a question.
That does not count. That was just to wriggle your way out of the situation.
110%.
I
Okay,
count it
when
as a
are you gonna
successful
read?
wiggle.
When are you gonna read enough of my cuck stories that you get into them?
I'm not. It can't be done. I read 15 NTR dojins last night. I'm like, this isn't for me.
Yeah, but MisterretsiM stories are
Hold
above
up.
and beyond
Hold up.
that.
No. Mr. Etzim, what you need to do is you need to write an NTR story where the one who is coming into the relationship to steal is 100% a mommy character.
That's not going to do it for me either. I've already read that. It doesn't do it.
Yeah, but you haven't read Mr.
If the focus is on the mommy part of it and the NTR is just in there, I think it might.
I don't think it will.
I don't think I've ever written a mommy dom character.
Well, if you ever get bored,
Well,
you can write one, and then, we'll read it to Suna on a podcast.
Oh, I did want to ask you, are you ever going to make any of your stories into like audiobooks? Because realizing I had to read very quickly, I'm like, damn, I read kind of slow. My comprehension, godlike. Everything else, horrendous.
Here's the problem with that.
Money.
And, what's the name of the first Harry Potter book?
Sorcerer's Stone.
What she said. Literally.
Okay.
Harry Potter.
The Sorcerer's Stone audiobook length is 8 hours and 18 minutes. I have stories that are 80% as long, and my average story is at least about a quarter to a third as long.
Oh.
And I don't have the funds to pay somebody to
You're right.
spend 2 to 3 hours
So I
of
was
their
right.
life
Money.
reading my smut.
I mean, there are places you can find people that would volunteer for it, but like it is kind of hard because like the truth is, to be an audio reader, you need to have some skills. And some of those people will.
Well,
not saying like if you're not charging, you don't have skills, but like there are a lot of people that want to do it but may not fit the story or whatever.
I agree. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how plausible it is.
I know how plausible it is. You make it a tier in your Patreon, and all the money that goes to that tier just goes to the paid voice actor. There, boom, done.
I just don't see that happening.
Damn. No one can say I didn't try. I tried.
Fair.
one day when Mr. Retzim has his own mansion, he'll hire audiobook
At
readers.
that point.
By that,
And then you can listen to all my cuck stories to your heart's content.
just listen to them at work and be like, man, I think I'd rather be getting cucked than be here. Goddamn government.
Okay, so you need to write a mommy dom cuck story.
That's really not.
And
That's
make
really not
sure
gonna do it.
that he listens to it while he's at work.
I don't like the
Got it,
dom
got
moms.
it.
I like the soft ones. They're just like, well, you got me, and I'm like, I will take care of you, and you take care of me because I'm fucking dumb.
Well, a mommy dom is typically fairly soft.
Yeah,
by
dom
nature.
by itself does not mean hard.
Yeah.
Because like,
I need them to be like a marshmallow.
yeah, a mommy dommy or a dommy mommy a lot of times is a very soft dom.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be a dom at all.
You want them to be submissive to you.
Yeah, not to me. Just like not
Because you want to be like,
fuck,
Mama, I need
do
milk,
phrase
and
that
she just
shit?
comes over and like,
Plops a
Yeah.
nipple right in your mouth.
See, no, at that point, just slap me with the titty and be like, bitch, you could have just used your words. Because it always
you
comes
do
down.
want a mommy dom.
No, it always comes down to really, you couldn't have just like used your words. Because that's what I do in real life every day. It's please communicate better, and they're like, don't know how, and I'm like, you make me want to jump off a bridge.
I love that for you, it's not like the physics don't matter at all. It's the like mental part of it and the communication and understanding like why someone who is unemployed and dirty is all of a sudden getting to fuck this super hot woman. Like it's a very different aspect than I've come across very much.
You're welcome.
It's a different
I
type of
think
realism.
maybe I don't know. I'm so fucking tired.
It's interesting.
All right.
All right, Puce, what's your favorite story of mine you've read?
I seriously love Condom Big Enough for a Fuda. I think I
take
just
it.
butchered the title, but it's just good. You're right.
Chapter 6 will be out for public release in probably the beginning of 2024. Maybe December.
Yeah, no, I will say, like, one of my big fetishes that, like, obviously cannot really happen, sadly, is, like, I would love to be a human condom. So, like, when that's spoilers, literally like what happened, I was just like, yep, that's I want to be her.
And
No.
I feel your pain because I want to be on the opposite end of that. As one thing that I didn't mention before is like some of the hate that I've gotten for writing like Cuck NTR stuff is people call me a cuck or an incel
They're like,
or whatever, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. I want to be the one with the giant dick fucking somebody else's part.
I love it.
All right. And on that wonderful note, that will be the end of the episode. I hope the audience enjoyed watching us probably make everybody who has a cuck fetish hate this.
Just fucking
Oh, wait,
hate us.
wait.
Just fucking despise
my
us.
last call. Don't be dumb like MisterretsiM and I were when we were young.
Yeah. Also wear
Yes.
a condom.
Even if it's a human. Especially if it's a human.
Yeah, especially if it's a human.
Don't think about it too much.
Okay.
Don't think about
You're
it too
right.
much. Everybody have a wonderful night. Don't let the door slam on the way out. And make sure to listen to us wherever you're listening to us currently. So, YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, all those services. And make sure to follow us on Twitter. MisterretsiM, would you like to plug yourself?
Again.
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at MisterretsiM _. Patreon MisterretsiM, and basically every find me now on Literotica, AO3, and Hentai Foundry, also under MisterretsiM. I am no longer on DeviantArt because I did get banned. So,
Oh, damn.
I'm sorry, that's the stuff
changed their
funny.
policy again, and I got hit quick.
That wasn't like funny. It's just like, damn. Really?
DeviantArt's
you
going
know.
the way of Tumblr.
I'll live.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oof.
They'll learn. When they learn, it'll be
Alright.
too late.
Puce.
All right. Say your goodbyes.
What was the
everybody.
thing you said at the very beginning about like sit back so you can watch everything?
Yeah, it was getting into the whole like, haha, the audience is being cucked by us, which makes no sense. But
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that at all.
yeah, it didn't work out too well. It doesn't matter.
Audience, go sit in your cuck chair.
Yeah, that's how I should have opened the episode, honestly. All right.
Bye.
Bye.